Good morning. I'm Fahim Mahim from MonWHO Media. The conference opened yesterday amidst much fanfare and international interest. The big story of the day was the Turkish decision to create a buffer zone in Syria. For more, we go to our BBC correspondent, Kelly Q.
Hi, this is Kelly Q from BBC News. I'm just following up the story, the breaking news about Syrian government and Turkey government.
While we respect the sovereignty of the nation of Syria, we want to defend the interests of our own countries, and we are deploying troops there as well in order to protect them and do the best we can for the hardships that's occurring in Syria right now.
And they feel like they're being forced out of the country. I mean, there's like troops everywhere, like beating on them, like forcing them out of Turkey to Syria, and like they're not very happy. And
you have to consider that over the past year, we have considered them as guests. We wish to provide the same amount of protection, however, in Syrian land.
Thank you. Thank you. So this is Kelly reporting for BBC News with a government official from Turkey. Thank you.
After a heated debate with Israel, the Jordanian delegate spoke with Al Jazeera to address Palestinian refugees. Jordan and Saudi Arabia expressed concerns on Europe's implication in the region. Al Jazeera has the story.
Hi, this is Ramiz Imtiaz with Al Jazeera News. I'm here with Jordan representative Zain, and we're here to discuss some of the interesting developments on the first day of the MonWHO summit. So the first thing I want to talk to you about, and this happened right away when the summit started, was this targeting of Israel, or so that representative claimed. You called out Israel a fair number of times, so what issues do you have with Israel?
I think you're construing it the wrong way. It's not so much being critical of Israel as it is being critical of Israel's flawed policies. Ever since the signing of the peace treaty in 1990, we have maintained these good relations. That being said, we do believe that some of the policies that Israel has are fundamentally flawed. They simply are not doing enough for Palestinian refugees.
You and Saudi Arabia were both simultaneously criticizing the European countries for not doing enough.
Yeah.
And so where do you think they can help? Do you mean financially supporting you, or do you mean taking on more refugees? Explain that a bit more.
Both. I think that the European countries can take refugees as well. They can also provide expertise. They also have financial resources. They can apply pressure to different NGOs to provide services. They can apply pressure to pharmaceutical companies to address the needs of the Palestinian refugees. Jordan believes that the needs of the Palestinian refugees have been ignored for far too long.
Well, the biggest problem here is once you tell this to the European countries, they're going to respond with that, okay, it's a recession happening right now. We've seen Greece is struggling, we know Spain is struggling economically, so that is going to be the rebuttal. Where do you think you can respond, or how do you think you can respond to this?
I think it's important to realize that this is a global recession. It's not fair to say that this has only impacted Europe.
Well, you probably mean not just financially, but try to pressurize the other countries to support.
They have the technical expertise. They have the pressure. They have the incentives that can provide to other countries.
Okay, so this is Ramiz Imtiaz with the Jordan representatives, and he's basically just trying to say that Europe needs to step up and put more pressure on the countries to help the Palestinian refugee cause, and on top of that, to support Middle Eastern countries and get them back on track, get them helping. And that's all from Al Jazeera. Thank you.
Though the Israeli delegate had no comment for Al Jazeera, the New York Times was able to interview him. He expressed hopes that the international community can shift the discussion from Palestine to other refugee health issues. GlaxoSmithKline insisted other pharmaceutical companies and NGOs implement stronger healthcare systems in needy countries such as Tanzania, following Kenya's example. The company representative, Ms. Sasik Kumar, highlighted the importance of water sanitation and hygiene conditions in refugee camps to decrease diarrheal diseases.
Good evening, everyone. I'm now on behalf of the New York Times with Ms. Sassi Kumar from GlaxoSmithKline Pharmaceutical Company for insight on pharmaceutical support to refugee camp health.
I think in order to get GlaxoSmithKline's approval in this conference, countries really do need to address the sanitation issues of things. In terms of funding, I think we only work with countries that are in dire need. We don't really give our money to absolutely everyone.
So what would be your immediate solution to that problem? How would you resolve this issue?
So we would encourage countries to implement the phased sanitation program. But
do you have any countries in mind? Are you targeting anyone?
Well, Kenya, because Kenya hasn't really well, Kenya has implemented it, but countries surrounding it like Tanzania or South Africa, or just a lot of countries seem to have a problem with refugee health. For developed nations that have the resources in order to implement it, as long as they implement it, but credit GSK with it. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. My name is Charlotte Goyer on the behalf of the New York Times.
Today, the Africa Regional Bloc discussed the impact of military involvement on global health.
Military engagement within Africa from Western influence. I really don't think that that's something that would be beneficial. We need to have a situation where we're dealing with our own problems. Military involvement, if it's going to come from somewhere, has to come from regionally.
Increase health among our internally displaced people or refugees when Al-Shabaab is completely controlling whether or not humanitarian aid is introduced into these regions and whether or not it's effectively spread out throughout the region. Al-Shabaab is contributing to civil war erupting all over the region, which completely destabilizes our government. Once we fight against Al-Shabaab, humanitarian aid organizations can now come in and effectively distribute.
This is Laura Hine with the Daily Nation in Montreal.
Hi, this is Megan representing Xinhua, and I'm here with Amanda, who is representing China. So the first is, I would like to ask, what does China hope to accomplish in this conference with regards to refugee health?
China is actually very excited to attend the conference to negotiate with other nations to possibly come up with a long-term solution for refugee health. So as a representative, we understand that it is important to take that into consideration because as a growing global power, we're trying to take into concern of global responsibilities as well.
So, keeping that in mind, then, how will the refugee crisis add to China's growing population pressure of 1.4 billion? And how do you think this will affect China's international role as well?
As for the refugee population that's coming in and out, it's definitely a bit of a burden to the country's resources. However, because they're in need of help and according to the international laws, we would like to aid them in the possible ways that we could under our own resources. So
China hopes to emerge as a global leader in taking this global responsibility.
yes.
All right, thank you, China. We look forward to hearing from you. We're excited. All right, thanks. This is Megan from Xinhua.
That's all for now. Stay tuned for more news from MonWHO Media. And follow the Twitter on the screen. I'm Fahim Mahim.